to one count of reckless discharge of a firearm.
What does that mean?
It's 3 years. Good behavior, you'll be out in 1.
Reckless discharge of a firearm, and he only got him down to 3 years? Dadgum. Okay, here in Arizona, that's a felony 6. It's as low as it can possibly go without being a misdemeanor, right? Lowest level felony. So, and if it's this guy's first offense, which I'm pretty sure they're insinuating it is, or at least they haven't said he's had any other offenses, 3 years, that's a dadgum long time. Hey guys, you keep loving Lincoln Lawyer, and I am too. We're going now with episode 4.
The only reason he fired the gun in the first place was because of the poor security in your building. Okay, you go talk to your boss, and we're just gonna drop a lawsuit.
Wow.
Nerve. That was the building manager. They want to throw us out.
Yet another reason I work out of my car.
Okay, so they want to throw him out because he fired a gun in self-defense in the last episode. Also tried to blow his own foot off, but that's beside the point. You might be watching this going, no, they can't do that. Second Amendment, right? You got the right to bear arms. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. The Constitution is a contract, but it's a contract between you and your government, not between you and your landlord. And almost every lease says that if you fire a gun inside of the premises, you're probably going to get evicted. Now, guess how long ago it was that I heard about something like that happening? Yeah, last week. Last week, that happened to a potential client that called me. They fired a firearm in self-defense, a guy protecting his wife and his 2 kids in the back seat, but it happened in the parking lot of their apartment complex. And guess what? They got evicted the next day. So, if you're going to fire a firearm in self-defense, I guess you want to be a homeowner so you can't get evicted. I guess that's the only lesson. Or you want to be able to afford an attorney so that you can drop a lawsuit like this lady just said.
What's next?
You're in the list at County to meet with Eli Wims.
Oh, you still think that Wims is Jerry's magic bullet?
This has to be.
I don't see how. Wims went Rambo hours before the murders. Couldn't have been the killer.
Okay, so this is an interesting scene. I've said it before, this is supposed to be one of the more realistic courtroom dramas. It's one of the only ones that I can think of that actually insinuates that the attorneys are working on multiple cases at a time. So here he is talking to his legal assistant or secretary or paralegal or whatever her title is. And he's saying, okay, what do we got? And she's naming 2 or 3 or 4 cases, and those apparently are just things that he's got to handle today. Totally realistic. I've said before, I've had up to 9 hearings in one day. They were all in the same courthouse in 2 different courtrooms right next to each other. But totally realistic. You got to have a whole bunch of irons in the fire and you got to be able to work them all. Especially for a criminal defense attorney, which is what he does. There are some law firms that are working things like mass tort cases. I think there's a case out there for Roundup victims right now. Roundup was supposed to have caused lymphoma. So, you know, firms like that are huge and that are working these multi-billion-dollar lawsuits, maybe they've only got that one iron in the fire, but they still have hundreds or even thousands or tens of thousands of clients that they still have to juggle. So you're never working with just one.
Mr. Scales solicited donations for cancer research, which he then spent on Lakers tickets, rare wine, a whole home audio system.
Are you committing more crimes while I'm representing you in court?
A commercial-grade espresso machine, a vintage Rolex watch.
Your Honor.
Okay. So, all right, I've never had that experience. I've never had it where they're literally committing the crime in the courtroom. Came kind of close once. I had a client back when I was taking cases from Overflow, right? Of Overflow public defender cases. Somebody came up and informed me, yeah, your client is out front. And I just went, well, why aren't they in the courtroom? They said, oh, you probably want to go see them. I go out there. Client is there for drug charges, and they're high as a kite. So I have had that, and I had to tell them, I'm going to go in there and beg the judge for a continuance. You're going to go home. Do not come back high again. Anyway, so yeah, never had that where they're committing a crime in the courtroom, but showing up high for drug charges, pretty close.
The court finds that Mr. Soto is a flight risk, but I'm not persuaded that he's a danger to the community. As a result, bail will be set at $2 million. Mr. Soto will surrender his passport and submit to an ankle monitor. Everybody clear?
So interesting thing, this guy's facing multiple counts of really serious charges. I think they said it was human trafficking. So yeah, pretty bad, right? And they set the bail at $2 million. And that sounds like, wow, that's going to keep most people behind bars. So interesting thing about bail, unless they say it's a cash bond, 2 million doesn't actually mean 2 million. 2 million actually means, at least here in Arizona, 10% is going to be cash. So that'd be 200,000. Still a lot of money, but not $2 million. The rest of it can be covered with collateral. So if this guy owns a couple nice houses, which, hey, they're in LA, it's not out of the usual to have a house that's worth a couple $1 million. And he can say, I've got $200,000 cash and I've got the deed to this house. There's your collateral, and he's out. So while that sounds like, wow, that's crazy, not actually, not that crazy. I've had clients that they've set the bail at $100,000 and they get $10,000 from family and a couple nice vehicles and they're out.
Eli, I'm here to help you.
Yeah, that's what Jerry said. And then he left me here.
I'm not Jerry. Eli, you're in serious trouble. Attempted murder of a peace officer, that's 20 to life. No!
I can hit a target from 800 yards. You don't think I would have hit those cops if I wanted to?
Talk to me, man.
So, interesting fact. Okay, so this guy is playing, I think they said Marine Corps scout sniper, right? And he's saying right here, I can hit a target at 800 yards. You don't think I could have hit those cops if I wanted to? He's being charged with multiple counts of attempted murder against police officers. Okay. And his defense is, if I wanted them dead, they'd be dead. You really think you want to go into a courtroom and actually present that to a jury? It makes you look like an absolute killing machine. It's theoretically a sound defense that I have had clients say, hey, if I wanted to harm that person, I could have. Thinking of a specific situation, really, really big dude accused of hurting somebody smaller, right? And essentially he was saying, if I wanted to hurt that person, I could have hurt that person. Okay, I get that, but at the same time, if you sit on the stand and you say, if I wanted them dead, they'd be dead, you just look like a monster. And the jury's just gonna go, yeah, convict. We'd just get him off the street even if he didn't do it, okay? So, while it sounds like a good defense, probably not.
I went to work this morning and they were staring. I think they know it was me.
You came to us, David. You said you couldn't sleep knowing what Soto's doing to these people.
I know, but I'm a parent. I didn't think about that.
Okay, so we have a program. We can relocate you and your family before the trial.
Okay, so they're talking about witness protection and things like that, or, this guy's saying, oh, I went to work and people were staring at me. They know I'm the one that, and this guy was in the previous episode testifying to a grand jury to get an indictment against the owner of the company he works for. Okay. And he's saying, I think they know it's me. Yeah, you're standing in front of an ice cream truck talking to the prosecutor. Probably not the best place to have a conversation like this if you're trying to keep the, this person safe. So probably not the way this conversation would go down. Probably phone's better, maybe email, or even just, back room at a courthouse or some other building. Probably not right on the street like that.
That's it? You just gonna white knuckle it the rest of your life? Oh, I get it. You hired another addict to drive you around and help keep you straight. Yeah, that's not like going to meetings at all.
Sadly, as I've said before, supposed to be one of the most realistic courtroom dramas on TV. Lawyers with addictions and substance abuse, lot of studies saying pretty high numbers as far as professional careers go. So putting some realism in there that I really wish wasn't real, but yeah, unfortunately it is. Every year we have to do continuing legal education, and it seems like every year I see probably 3 or 4 or 10 new classes on lawyer and substance abuse issues and help that's available to attorneys through their state bar and things like that. So like I said, something that is real that I really wish was not.
on defense. You take the wife, I take the husband. Separate rooms. Got it?
Got to pause here to talk about it, even though may not be exactly on point with what's going on here. These guys, okay, so other dude here that was sitting there drinking behind the wheel, two things are going on here. He could have gotten a DUI, at least in Arizona he could have, because even though he's not operating that vehicle, if he's sitting behind the steering wheel and he's drinking and he is over the legal limit, if the keys are in the ignition or if it doesn't require any keys, he can still get a DUI, even if the car's not on. Because it doesn't say driving under the influence in our actual DUI statute, it says under physical or actual control of the vehicle. And if you're behind the driver's seat, you're in actual control of the vehicle. So don't do that. Second thing don't do. You hear in the background, the cops aren't actually there for this guy that's drinking, right? You hear in the background that there's a couple people yelling at each other. Okay, here in Arizona, they love to hand out domestic violence disorderly conduct, okay? Disorderly conduct, you just disturb the peace of somebody and you have a domestic relationship with the victim. So if you are yelling at each other and the cops show up and you're super smart, you don't need to take the fifth, right? So you decide, I'm gonna talk to the cops and just explain the situation. And you go out there and go, oh yeah, me and the wife were having some words, but, you know, we didn't touch each other or anything. You don't have to touch each other. You just admitted to, right, the neighbors called the police, they could hear you, so they're disturbed, and you just admitted to yelling at the wife loud enough for the neighbors to hear it, and you just said, it's my wife, so I've got a domestic relationship with her, I disturbed somebody's peace. Domestic violence, disorderly conduct, and you just admitted to it, okay? Don't do that. That's why we say, take the fifth. Don't say anything. You don't have to say anything.
Retrial is a story, Coach. You want to hear the story I'm going to tell?
No, but you're going to tell it anyway.
It's about a man who served his country with bravery and honor. A hero who saved the lives of 7 other soldiers when their convoy was ambushed outside of Ramadi. I'll get every single one of those soldiers to testify if I have to.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, you might recognize that guy is not a soldier. In fact, it's the guy that was sitting in the courtroom committing another crime earlier in the scene, or earlier in the episode. So yeah, not a soldier. But what's interesting about this scene, what is real about this scene, is that we're having this, it's essentially a plea negotiation at this soccer game. Never had a plea negotiation at a soccer game. Did one in a bathroom once. Probably a couple times, actually, if I think about it. Done them in the hallway, over the phone, out in front, in between the two buildings. We got a courthouse right here, and then right behind that is the prosecutor's building. And sometimes we're just running to each other between, and we'll start talking about a case. So it's not that far-fetched to have one at a soccer field, I guess. I've never had my kids playing on the same team as one of the prosecutors, but I don't know, maybe.
Just 1 count of reckless discharge of a firearm.
What does that mean?
It's 3 years. Good behavior, you'll be out in 1.
Reckless discharge of a firearm, and he only got him down to 3 years? Dadgum. Okay, here in Arizona, that's a felony 6. It's as low as it can possibly go without being a misdemeanor, right? Lowest level felony. So, and if it's this guy's first offense, which I'm pretty sure they're insinuating it is, or at least they haven't said he's had any other offenses, 3 years, that's a dadgum long time. Probably going to get him probation or even a diversion program. Now, he did get accused of something far worse, and so that would justify maybe he's going to be looking at some time. But, dadgum, 3 years for a felony 6. I'm not even sure if that's on the table. I'd have to look at the sentencing guidelines.
Are you crazy, Eli? You're actually crazy. Because only someone with a serious mental illness would think they can open fire on a bunch of cops and walk out the door a free man.
Okay, and right after that, another realistic scene where this guy's been accused of, I think it was 4 or 5 counts of attempted murder on police officers. And then Mr. Lincoln Lawyer here gets it down to reckless discharge. As I said, in Arizona, felony 6, low level, 3 years instead of spending the rest of his freaking life behind bars. And the first thing out of his mouth is, you guys are all the same. You mean we all do an awesome job? Okay, here's the thing. Innocent people don't want to take a plea. I get that. I've helped innocent people. I've actually gotten people fully acquitted of the crimes that they've been accused of. Feels great. I also have had people that I thought were totally innocent that still said, I have to take the plea. And I've told them, you can't plea. You can't go to the court and say, I'm guilty of. And the specific one that I'm thinking of, in a gray zone, all right? Essentially, he looked at it and said, I got to take the plea. Okay, he was being offered probation, and if he was found guilty, he would have been found guilty of a high-level felony and would have been going to prison for a long time. And so he said, I got to take the plea. If I take the plea, I'm out with my family. If I go to trial, I could be found guilty. I'll just tell you, it was a self-defense situation, and self-defense is a very gray zone, not black and white. And so if the guy says he's guilty, then he is. So, but we got it down to probation. He didn't have to go to prison. He was happy in that situation, but I've had other situations a lot like this one where your client just thinks you're the worst person in the world, even though you've presented him with the best sweetheart deal you've ever seen.
Oh, you did everything you could. Good. I mean, there's one thing I know about you is that. Sure you're gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Toward the end of the episode here, almost making out with the prosecutor / your ex. That's one way to do settlement negotiations, I guess. All right, Lincoln Lawyer episode 4. I'm hooked on this show. I can't wait to do episode 5, and I'll see you then.